How do you see yourself on a day-to-day basis? Do you see yourself in a more positive or negative light? Why does that even matter? Let's talk about that. How's it going, guys? My name is Marty Mandak. I am the education director for My Choice Education. I'm also one of the educators. I go into the prison and I teach on holistic health. And I'm here to talk to you today about self-worth. Okay? So first off, I asked that question in the beginning about how do you see yourself through a more positive or a negative light? And why is that important? Well, I just want to really quickly talk about the more positive lens, because if that's you, I just want to encourage you and say that's great. It seems like, at least in today's society, you're a minority in that. Seeing yourself through a positive lens on a more regular basis is something that you don't usually come by. And I don't want to allow anybody to discourage that in you. So if that's you, if you're feeling like, you know what, I'm on cloud nine right now, I'm really believing in myself, I really am just, I'm thankful for who I am, I'm thankful for life, and I just want to continue to press on in that, you go and you do it. Okay. And I see you too. And that's really, really exciting. So that's a great place to be. Ride that wave as long as you can. But there are seasons of life. There may even seem like those seasons turn into decades and so on and so forth, of people who may see themselves through a more negative light. So when you have that lower self-esteem, let me talk about self-esteem real quick, because a lot of people view self-esteem as one of those things that's like, it either is good or it's bad and there's no changing it. Self-esteem changes all the time. Self-esteem changes moment by moment, day by day, sometimes minute by minute. One minute you're on that cloud nine and then you make a mistake at work and then it's like, oh, I'm a horrible person. So self-esteem fluctuates. And when you have a lower self-esteem, you're on the more lower end of that, you have a tendency then to only pay attention to the negative things you do, which will then confirm that negative view of yourself. So it's almost like this spiral of failure, so to speak. It's, I don't feel like I'm worth anything. I don't feel like I'm good at anything. And then I continually look for the things that will confirm that view. Okay. So let's talk about something called the frequency illusion. What in the world is the frequency illusion? Well, that relates to this thing at the base of your brain stem called the reticular activating system. What the reticular activating system is, or the RAS for short, it's a cluster of nerve cells at the base of your brainstem. And essentially what it does, without going into all the technical scientific terms for it, which you can look this up, it acts as a filtration system. Whatever's stimulating, which there are thousands upon thousands of things stimulating our brains every minute of every day, from scents to colors to noises to thoughts to you name it, it's stimulating our brain because our brain is looking for stuff to focus on, right? Well, when you are bombarded with countless stimuli, your brain has to filter, what is going to go noticed and what's going to go unnoticed. And so when there's something on the forefront of your reticular activating system, something that's new, fresh, and exciting, your tendency then is to your brain almost tricks yourself into seeing that thing more frequently. And so it's almost like this illusion of like, why am I seeing this so much more than I ever was before? So it's like one of these things. Tell me if you've ever bought a new car, used or new, it doesn't really matter. You start driving a new car and then you're out on the road and all of a sudden you start to notice that same make and model car way more frequently. It's like, I didn't know there was this many Subarus on the road. I didn't know there was this many Subaru Foresters on the road specifically. Okay, something like that. And it's almost like a trick. It's like your brain is playing this trick on you. What that is that's the reticular activating system doing what it does. It's showing you things or illuminating to you things that were already there, but now it's just making you notice them more frequently because you're now identified with a Subaru Forester because that's the car you bought, right? For this example. Now, why is all of that important? Well, if our brains function that way for things like cars and song titles, you hear a song in the restaurant, you're not even paying attention to it, it's on in the background, and you're like, oh, this is catchy. And then all of a sudden for the next week and a half, you feel like that's the only song you hear on the radio, which might be true depending on what stations you're listening to, but that's how our brain works. If it works for things like that, you better believe that it works for thoughts that go through your brain. So if you are having a more negative season of your life where you're constantly thinking on negative things, you better believe that the more frequent things you're going to notice about yourself are negative. It's that simple. It's not a trick. It's not that you're doing so much worse. Listen, when we talked about the personality profiles, or if you haven't talked about the personality types yet, click on that video because this is super important. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. Every single person has things they're really good at, things that they're really proud of, and then there's people who have, or then there's those same people have weaknesses, their shortcomings, the things that they mess up with all the time. And if you constantly focus on the things that you mess up on, that's what you're going to notice more frequently. It's not that they're multiplying. It's not that there's more negativity there than was already there. That's just what you're noticing because that's what's activating your RAS. So how do we combat that? Well, literally thought replacement. Things like when a negative thought pops into your head, attack that negative thought and replace it with something positive. I'm not trying to tell you to put blinders on it and not see your shortcomings because we absolutely need to do that. It's kind of like a scale. If it's tipped one way where you're only thinking positively about yourself, that's unrealistic because no one is perfect. But at the same time, you can't tip the scale the complete other direction and only think negatively about yourself because you have so much good in you. Every single person does. And so when you only focus on the negative, that's not fair to yourself either. So you have to kind of find this middle ground of, I know what my negative shortcomings are because everybody has them. I know my weaknesses and I'm going to work on them. But what I choose to identify with is who I am in this more positive light. I'm going to look at my strengths and I'm going to live in and out of those strengths because what you're going to find happen, and this is really, really cool, is you're going to find not only that frequency illusion is going to start to apply to the positive things in your life. You're going to be like, wow, I am very intelligent. Wow, I am good looking. Wow, I am friendly. I am funny. And you're going to start to see those things play out in real life. But what's really, really cool, and this is kind of an additional payoff, is you're going to start to see those positive things in other people as well. It's just going to make your relationships, it's going to make the world a brighter place, a more positive place to live in. And I know this sounds like this whole, mantra of the power of positive thinking, but at the same time, it's literally that simple. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I don't want to simplify it to the point where I say it's not important. It's just, it is what it is. The power of positive thinking, the power of what your brain will filter out and what will make appear more frequent in your life. And so with that being said, if you're struggling today, if you're in that season of negativity, there's got to be a breaking point. There's got to be a point where you say, okay, enough is enough. I understand that I messed up. Maybe that's where you are. Or I understand that someone else messed up and hurt me. I understand that I made that mistake. But you need to learn to forgive yourself, which, again, that is a whole separate video that we're going to be doing. But then you need to start to identify in those strengths that you have because you have them. And if you're struggling to identify them, find someone that'll help you because there are people in your life that care and love about you that are and love you that want to point out those strengths in you. And you need to learn to listen to them and identify with them. And I'm promising you, your brain will start to do this thing where you will start to notice those things more frequently in yourself and others. And it's going to make all the difference in the world.